Hi everyone, this is Leslie of Succulent Social. Today we're going to talk about this amazing and cool plant that is very iconic. It is called the string of dolphins. Alright, so we are here in this part of the garden where we keep most of our trails, most of the strings, and there is one plant here that is the longest of them all. This is this beautiful plant pot of string of dolphins, and it's pretty long now, so it's high time to propagate it. And apart from that, it also has a lot of dried leaves, so today we're gonna do cleaning, a bit of trimming, and also propagating. All right, this cool plant, of course, is called string of dolphins, and it is easy to know why it got the name. Each of the leaves are look like dolphins jumping out of the water. How cool! Look at that. Another cool thing is that if you look closely at the middle of the leaves, they actually have this translucent portion or translucent line in the middle, which is called window, and it lets the sunshine in so the plant or the leaves can use it for photosynthesis. Cool. Scientific name is Curio peregrinus. It was previously known as Senecio peregrinus until they kind of had a reclassification. Some people call it dolphin necklace, string of dolphins, but whatever you call it, it's still a really pretty cool plant. Also, it has an amazing bloom, and one unique thing about it is it smells like vanilla. I just don't have one right now because all of the string of dolphins that I had are past their blooming stage. What's left with me are some of these dried puffballs. Look at that. But when they are freshly bloomed, they actually are very similar to the flowers of the string of pearls. So they look almost the same as this one. And the reason why they're very similar is because string of dolphins is actually a hybrid plant. The mother plants are actually string of pearls and also candle plants. So you could see the characteristics that it actually got from its parents. So anyway, today we're gonna do our trimming, and I do have here with me my tools. I have my scissors and I have a tray and a tray with dew. And I think the first important thing that I want to tell you about propagating strings is that any part of the string or the stem where you can see dolphins can actually be propagated, and they can produce roots. So it doesn't matter if you cut long or short, but for me, I try to look for the part that already has some roots or some nodes that are like protruding out, like this one, because it's easier to actually plant them since it kind of already has the starting root. So given that information, of course, it also doesn't matter if you cut like a long piece of stem or a shorter one. For me today, I'm gonna cut both. I want some long pieces because I want to plant them in a hanging tray, a hanging pot that they will already be trailing. But I will also cut smaller pieces, maybe about 3-4 inches long, because I will propagate those in seedling pots, which will then be sold to clients. Anyway, so however long you cut, you just have to make sure that at the end you remove some of the dolphins, some of the leaves. And this is the portion that we will be dried or callous, and they are the part that will be planted in the soil. So those dolphins that we will remove, we don't throw them away. They could also grow roots and they could also be propagated. So while I continue trimming this beautiful pot, let's talk a little bit more about the requirements or the needs of the string of dolphins. And let's start with sun requirement. String of dolphins are actually popular indoor plants. They're beautiful inside a house. But when we say indoor, we don't actually mean in your basement or in a dark room. They're actually best kept next to a bright window where they can get bright indirect sun. And that would make them happy. That would make them flourish. The string of dolphins that we have right now are currently in our clothesline, as you can see in the beginning of the video. But just because it's winter now here in Melbourne, Australia, so the sun is not that intense. We might move it when we go to spring, or of course in summer, we'll change the location, but also because they only get the direct morning sun there. I want to show you this particular plant which has grown from a propagation that we had earlier on, and I intentionally kept this out of sun, basically in a dark area. And just look how it grows only from one direction as it seeks the sun. And also, as I mentioned earlier, this type of string, it is very important for them to have sun so that they can maintain the shape of a string of a dolphin. Otherwise, they would, as the leaves search for more sun, they kind of flatten. And look at this. It's not a dolphin anymore. It's a stingray. It's a string of stingray. If it will be a stingray if you don't give them enough sun. And also the leaves are kind of they look soft and fragile and not firm. Now let's move on to watering. String of dolphins retain water for a long period of time, so they're actually considered drought tolerant. You can just give them a good soak and then allow the soil to dry in between watering. It is a good practice to always look at the leaves of your plants because they always try to tell you what they need. So when the leaves are looking a bit dull and deflated, they're underwatered. So just give them a good soak. If the dolphins look yellowish or squishy, then you might have overwatered them. So cut back on the watering a little bit. Of course, during colder season when they are in dormancy or kind of sleeping, then cut back a bit on the water as well. For us, since most of our strings are outside and they just get all the rain that they can enjoy, once in a while we also have overwatered dolphins, but only very rare. And a big factor on this is the soil in the pot. It is really important to have a well-draining soil in a pot that has drainage hole. In terms of size, do not use too big of a pot as they do not mind to be overcrowded. In fact, they look really pretty when the pot is full and is a bit congested. Okay, now let's talk about pests. String of dolphins are not known to have a lot of pest infestations, but sometimes they can just appear. It happens in every garden, even big nurseries, and you know, it happens. So the one that we have here are aphids, and there are different kinds of them, but these ones are the green ones, so they're almost doing camouflage. And with dolphins, you will mostly find them on the ends of the stems, so always check for them. Is it just me, or it's actually therapeutic looking at it in zoom? Look at that. Removing them is quite easy. If it's just a few, just remove with stick, Q-tips, or just spray it off with water. If there's a lot, then spray a bit with isopropyl alcohol diluted in water, or there are also some spray ones that are readily available in stores. So here are the pots of string of dolphins after we have trimmed them, cleaned them, remove all the dried leaves, even those overwatered leaves have also been removed. So they're looking happier now. And over here, I have all those portion that I have trimmed and cut. So I have them in different sizes. I have already grouped them. Some of them will be in pots, some of them will be in seedling trays, and I will just let this dry or callus for a few days. So callus, of course, is when this portion here that I cut will be let to dry for a few days. And over here, I have all the dolphins that we have fished out of the water. I'm kidding. So here are all the dolphins that we remove. We'll set them aside because we will also add them into the pots as they can also propagate. All right, a few days have passed and our cuttings here are all dried up. It's time to plant them. So we could either plant them standing up like that, or you could also just lay them flat on the soil as each node can just grow their roots. But for this particular pot, I will do a mix of both. I would put some of the stem standing like this on the sides, and I would also add a string lying flat on the top of the soil because once this has grown, I would really want it to look full and um, full of dolphins basically. So once you are happy with the amount that you have in a pot, just put it in a partially shaded area, no direct sun yet until about for maybe about 2 weeks, and then you can introduce slowly to sunlight. And then the dolphins that we have removed from the stems, you can just sprinkle a little bit on the top of the soil, and um, they might help to be able to get this pot looking full. So this is an example of one pot. It kind of looks thin now, but once they grow, after a while, they'll be looking so full. And then the rest of the stems, the cuttings, I will put them in this small pot, and which will eventually be either added in an arrangement that we will do or even sold to clients. So with all the cuttings that we had taken from the mother plants pots, I have made 5 extra pots that are hanging like this, and I have also um, potted 10 of these small seedling pots. So once they are potted, please don't water yet for about 2 weeks, and then slowly introduce water. And that's about it for the string of dolphins. I hope you were able to pick up a few tricks and tips on this. If you have questions, please let us know. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.